Got a little place near the beach. We watch the sailboats out at sea.
Hope you all are doing well. Hope you don't mind my pardon me. Hope you don't mind my 1-900 low radio voice for this stream. I figured I'd try and get some building done here while my daughter's down for her nap. What's going on, Ultronomus? Good to see you. Hope you are having an excellent day. So here we are. Day 1, step 1, part of the build. So, yeah, as promised, we're going to dive right into this stuff. I do want to show you guys some of the things that I came up with last night with regard to this build. So, I don't think that I gave a very good, clear image of this switch that we're going to be using to turn the whole device on and off. So, I love having this table set up where I can, just push the camera in whenever I need a nice close-up here. So, this is the switch that I harvested from a tea light, hence the LED that's still attached to it. And we're going to find a way to install this somewhere on the backpack so that we can just turn all of the lights and electronic parts on and off from one location. I haven't taken the LED light off yet because I wanted to make sure that I can determine which side is the positive and negative end of the terminal. And so this is the off position for the switch, and this is the on. So I just wanted to make sure that I have that stuff stored away and I know what I'm doing. Secondly, let's pull out a little bit. Hey, what's going on, 16XA second? What's going on, Adam? Good to see you guys in the chat here. Hope y'all are having a good one. It's okay resting after yesterday's yard work. Man, you picked a heck of a week to do yard work. It has been sweltering. So this is the inverter unit that I mentioned on stream yesterday. This is how we are going to power up our EL wire. This is the yellow EL wire that I plan on using for the beam saber. And if we connect it here, just for demonstration purposes, going to show you guys how all this works. The button turns the EL wire on, but it also toggles it into this like blinking state. So that's cool, but like I said, we want the one switch. We don't want to have to do a switch and then a button on top of that. And B, we don't ever want it to be in that blinking state. So I popped off the the backside of the device here so that we can access the 4 terminals of the battery, of the switch, I should say. So these are connected to the line that goes out to the EL wire, and these are connected to the positive and negative terminals of the battery. And what I have found, if we use like a little piece of bent wire here, because I don't have a multimeter, I can't measure these things professionally. I just have to, shock myself and determine if that's what's working. There we go. And you can see that the little LED is flashing because using this method of bridging these points is how we will, basically set it to be on and off. So I have already taken a different unit here and removed the button. Let's turn this one off while we're... So this is what it looks like after the button has been taken off. And so basically all we're going to do is I'm going to have a little bit of a jumper wire. I'll probably do it on this side since this side is nice and flat. This side already has a bunch of junk on it, and I can't take this off. This is the actual inverter coil. So we're basically just going to jump this to this and this to this, and that is going to create our full loop circuit so that when the power is connected here, we don't have to push a button to turn it on and off. It's just going to be ready to go. So maybe we'll do some soldering today. I don't know. We'll see. In the meantime, it is cool to harvest. See, and I advise everybody do this kind of stuff, is like harvesting electronic components from other devices. So I don't know what I would use this button for in the future, but it's a satisfying button click. So I might use it for something else. Now, I might have lied a little bit. I have started building this RE100 Bawoo. The beam saber mounts here in the wrists. We're gonna have to find a way. I might end up like either making a resin copy of these, or I'll have to butcher one of them in order to create that beam saber that we're trying to make. But we are part of the way in. So now let's build the rest of the head and torso, if we can do that today. And I know that these RE100 kits are generally not as popular as like a master grade or even high grades, but like honestly, I would be happy to see just as many RE100s, or at least 1/100 scale high grades, as we see, of just the 1 to 1/44 scale high grades. It's pretty straightforward little build here, Got our body unit, arms, legs, waist, wings. It'll be interesting to see how much I can actually fit inside these components. All right. So we are going to need our polycap sheet here. I might lift the camera up a little bit here. Give us a better view of the full messy desk. Not sure if this makes you an electric or steel type. Yeah, that is a good question. Here I always thought that I was a psychic Pokemon. Turns out I might actually be an Electabuzz. Find a place that I can prop up my instructions here. Oh, and I completely forgot. Where did I put it? I misplaced them. Of course I did, because it's me. Well, I have my green LED lights somewhere around here. Oh, yeah. Here we go. So you guys have seen me use these little nano LEDs, and they run off like a little coin battery like this. So these are going to be the LEDs that I use for the mono eye. I might put more of them throughout the body. We'll see. Anywhere where I can stuff a anywhere where I can stuff an LED, I'm going to try to. All right. And y'all know how terrible I am at the actual build phase of any Gunpla project. I might actually switch nippers here, because those guys are feeling a little dull. So it might be time to pull out the old god hands here. So C19 and C20. Like I said, we definitely want to put our best foot forward with this competition build. Not that I'm expecting much, because, like I said, the guys that are part of like the build community at this local hobby town, they are serious builders. Like, I've seen some really incredible stuff from them. Oh man, where are one of my glass files? Is it hiding behind the Mark II up here? Yep, I see it in there. My filthy, filthy desk. So yeah, it looks pretty big, so I imagine it'll be generous with the internal space. I hope so, but with all the transforming components of the Bawoo, I am concerned that it's going to be a little cramped in there for certain parts. And then you get to make a whole diorama backdrop backdrop for the competition. Um, you can, but I would say that for this particular instance, you can only enter in one category, and so there's a Gundam category, and then there's a diorama category. Um, if I was smart, I would try and come up with a piece for both. 16XA second. You're going to enter a group build competition starting in July. Congratulations! Is this your first No, this isn't your first competition because I've seen you enter in things before. Is that right? And I've always wanted to host a Gunpla build competition. Um, but I've never been in one, so it's like it'd be hard for me to sit here and say like, "Oh, let me judge your Gunpla," even though I've never personally been judged, right? That's not fair. Yeah, two group builds, not bad. See, I always get confused when I'm looking at like these types of instructions where it's like, okay, which direction is this supposed to face? Okay, so this goes this way. Although I'm not too happy with my filing job here. I mean, I'll go back and clean this stuff up later. It's not of the utmost importance that we. So then we need F7, which looks like it's one of the chest pieces here. I'm using it as an excuse to do more than usual panel lined, decal, and top coat builds. I think that that's a perfect excuse to get outside your comfort zone. Absolutely. That is one of the things that I encourage the most about this hobby is like, do things that make you uncomfortable because it's the only way that you're going to get better at them. So, I'm not sure if I'm inserting this correctly or not. So the way it looks on the instruction sheet, do this, and I think it goes down like this, but that seems wrong to me. I guess we'll find out here soon. um, there's a part that goes on the bottom there. A6. Pardon me, just a moment here. Oof. Oh man, look at the size of these legs. Like that is exciting because I feel like I can cram all kinds of stuff in there. Like especially, dude, what if I were to punch out these little holes here? Let me push in on this here. If I were to punch out these little holes that are usually used as vents and I put LEDs in there, I mean, that's an easy one. And I mean, yeah, look at the. So if this is the arm, right? Look at the scale of just the calf. Clearly, the Bawoo does not skip leg days. All right. 16 says, may try to use an LED sometime when I'm ready for the headache of resistors and transistors and things with molecular structures. Dude, honestly, it really is not that difficult. You know, if you were to pick up some of these guys, so these are the little nano LEDs. I got a pack of like probably like 50 of these for about 10-15 bucks on Amazon, and there's no resistors, no fumbling around. They're just 3-volt powered. So you take your little 3-volt battery and boom, there you go. You got light. So then all you really have to do is then it's just a matter of like getting a switch that you can control it with. In my case, you could use that button, or like I said, I harvested this guy from that tea light. But like, yeah, it would just be as simple as connecting this red wire to the positive terminal and the black wire to the negative, and then boom, you've got yourself a battery powered LED. Hey, what's going on, Pyro? Good to see that Restream is actually working today. Let's get a nice little position going here. Tighten up the camera. Pyro asking if I changed anything with the Restream chat to get it to work. Nope. It just, I guess, decided that today it does not hate me. And I'll take that as a blessing. So I love these like Zeta inspired chesticles that the Bawoo has. Like it's very obvious that they like looked at the Zeta's chest and they were like, "Oh, that's what makes it aerodynamic." I love to think of Xeon engineers being as incompetent and just easily impressed as I am. Hey, what's going on, Dan? And yes, Pyro, you do need to build that lindworm. And in fact, let me know ahead of time when you are doing so, and I will make sure to be there for that stream. Yeah, exactly. We have Zeta at home. So let's see. This needs to be basically the reverse of that. So looks like we're in good shape. And this guy goes on here. And like I said, I am not going to be cleaning this up as OCD as I normally do for these builds, because if you guys have ever watched me build a high grade, you know that it takes me like 10 years just to finish the build because I'm sitting there filing and filing and filing and filing. I kind of want to get the structure of this ready to go so that I know what I have room for and what I don't. Because, yeah, like I said, we're going to have to cram this sucker in there somehow. I am not too confident about how we're going to do it. And yes, Dan confirming that painting it red does make it go faster. Purple's for the sneaky ones. Okay, so now we need B5. Where in the heck is B? I really should invest in one of those, like, the runner stands that I can actually do something with here. Okay, so B5 is this guy. Looks like this is going to be a fancy neck hole. Ooh, dish racks work too. Yeah, someone mentioned to me on Discord, they were like, weren't you working on like a 3D printed diorama that was like this big epic project? And I was like, yeah, but I can't afford that much 3D print resin right now. I got really excited because I got, one of those like marketing emails from Soraya Tech, and they were like, "Oh, right now we've got a deal going where you buy one resin and get 60% off the other." And I was like, "Oh, that's interesting." But it's only on like 5 kilogram resins. So it was like, "Oh, so if you buy one resin at $300, then you get the second at 220." It's like, well, that is a good deal. Like, don't get me wrong, but you know, who has $500 to just drop on 3D print resin? Hey, what's going on, Rogue? It is a good time to catch a build stream, right? I haven't done one of these in a long time. And you know what? I need a new hobby blade. Give me just a sec. No matter how nice these glass files get, there's just nothing quite like shaving plastic off using the hobby knife. Yep. Last one. Better make it count. What in the heck? Get out of there. I'm not even sure how I broke this off in here. Come on. In today's episode of Hatter fighting with his tools. All right. You don't need. Oh, sorry. You don't need much. Just a relatively wide base, something to hold it. Oh, you're referring to like the rack for runners, the runner rack. See, because like this stuff is a lot trickier to get off with like filing and filing and filing when I can just come in here and shave it off. And there we go. All this just to just to pop this on here. Then we need B6. See, and this is going to be tough because a lot of the, and I mentioned this on stream yesterday, right? Is like a lot of the LED stuff that I would do with this kit, it's going to have to be in the upper torso because anything that's on the lower torso is not going to light up unless I put like a second battery pack in it or something. It's just going to be too difficult to, um, it's going to be too difficult to wire things between the two halves of the Bawoo. In that regard, the Zeta is far superior, right? At least the Zeta is all one piece. Which kind of begs the question. I know we were getting into this, oh, let's see. Rogue says, Dude, I'm so far behind the times. I've never used a glass file before, much less all the cool tools for this hobby. I'm dumb and messy and use dry sandpaper and a razor blade. But you know what? There's something to be said about that. It's like, you know, the poor craftsman blames his tools, right? If you can't do these things without them, then, you know, you don't deserve to have them. Or however that Iron Man quote goes. I'll be honest, like these are my god hands, and like I don't know, as far as like nipping quality goes, I actually prefer my Tamiya or Tamiya, whatever, however you like pronounce, however you like to pronounce it. Please cut away from me. Nah. We we're professionals here. We break all the rules. I was gonna say, Pyro, you weren't here when we were just starting out, and I was like, well, I don't have a multimeter, so we're just gonna test this circuit by me sticking a wire to it and seeing if it works. Um, 16 says, takes time to build a tool set or a lot of money in a short time. Exactly. Exactly right. I think if you guys are familiar with the Miniac, that guy on YouTube, he he does that series of competitions where it's like, you know, we've got a noob build or like a noob painter, and then he's the experienced painter, and like he uses crappy like Walmart brand paints, and then they get to use like airbrushes and stuff like that, and it's like it's an interesting competition. That would be a fun. Maybe that would be a good build challenge for someone in our community to do, right? Like I wouldn't say um, I don't think that I'm qualified to be the expert, quote unquote, in that, but but yeah, some expert builder versus some noob builder, and the noob gets to use all the um, fancy tools and equipment, whereas the pro builder has to just use like, you know, a box cutter. Back in the day, I actually did use a box cutter for modeling, which, man, I don't think my thumbs will ever recover. You can probably still see all the scars from like the number of times I was shaving nubs off using a box cutter. Ah, the stickers. Screw those. We're not using stickers for this build. Come on. Come on, you guys know better than that. So we need H, 6, and 7, but I'm not even exactly sure where these are going on. I guess they plug into the back here. There you go. Nail clippers and a Swiss Army knife. Exactly right. I can already tell that there's one fantastic part about this kit that I love, and it's that the little chest icon is actually a color separated piece. Or the little crest, whatever you want to call it. The little thing on the chest of the Bawoo. Overall, like the color separation on this kit is really good for not being a master grade. And I think that that's why, earlier when I said, yes, the emblem, thank you. Um, hey, what's going on, Tony? Um, that's why I said, like, I wouldn't mind if there were more RE100s, or like I said, even if it's not called that line, if it was like HG100, um, the color separation and like just the overall detail on these kits, like I like it. Look, call me Marge. I just think they're neat. I can understand the complaints around certain things, like the fact that you get a master grade Alex, but you only get a RE100 Zaku Kai. But like, hey, all right, cheers, Pyro. Have fun. All right. So then this guy is gonna go in here somehow. We'll make it work. There it is. And then that goes. So it's like it plugs in, then it goes down. See, this is exactly what I was afraid of. Is this like, if this inverter is going to go into this kit, it's going to have to go into the backpack. There's just no freaking way that it's going to fit into the chest. Like with the Zaku Kai, I had to hollow the chest out of that sucker to get, just to get the servo to fit. I haven't even gotten, the actual microcontroller and all of that stuff, like the Arduino. That stuff's not plugged in yet, so I don't know where I'm going to stuff all those things. With this guy, so this is interesting. So this is where the cockpit snaps up, but it's like, it's too narrow. Is it supposed to do that? Is it supposed to? No, it doesn't sit on top. That'd be dumb. I don't know. Interesting. Okay. Man, this thing is. I'm starting to be concerned that this is going to be like a hand grenade. Just the. I mean, I'll withhold judgment. We'll see. um, yeah, definitely missing out on potential sales. Um, bro, I'm using a god hand. Let's see. So we need F8. That's B. Where did I throw my F's? Here we go. But yeah, this is a thick boy, and I'm here for it. Like, one of my biggest complaints about most high grades and high grades are usually better than master grades, in my opinion, when it comes to this, but like most master grades are way too lean and sleek. I love a nice chunky mobile suit. And, as we were looking at some of the concept art yesterday of the Bawoo, I was like, man, we were robbed. Like, we could have had a dummy thick Bawoo. Oh, hide your Arduino in an action base. That's not a bad idea. But then, you have to contend with like the wiring issue, right? Like, do I use like a magnet or something to connect it? Let's see, what part am I missing? B8. I'm definitely going to swap out these hands though, like, because I can already tell that these hands are not going to support the magnets that I need to put in there in order to get the power to the beam saber. Or the 3D printed Zeta head, as we talked about yesterday. I think that that would be probably next level. Plus, who knows? There might be kids there. I don't want them to be like horrified at their beloved Zeta being beheaded by the mighty Bawoo. Okay, let's snap this back a little bit so we can get this thing to fasten correctly. I feel like it's not connecting the way it's supposed to. Maybe that is what it's supposed to be like. It just seems like there's a little bit too much of a gap here. It's so hard to tell with some of these Xeon suits, like, whether there's an aesthetic gap or whether it's a gap like, oh, that's supposed to be there. Right, so we've got G. Need G3 and G4. Now this is kind of cool, and I don't know if I mentioned this on stream yesterday, but it warrants mentioning now because one of my biggest complaints about the high grade Bawoo is the limited posability and articulation due to the fact that when the nose cone is down, there's like a cup in its groin and the nose cone descends into the cup, and so you can't rotate the waist. There's no ab crunch, there's none of that. Well, they solved that with the RE100 Bawoo by having the nose cone fold in. Here, I can actually illustrate this better by showing you the instruction manual here. So like the tip of the nose cone folds in behind and hides underneath the cockpit so that you don't have that posability issue, which begs the question, why didn't they do that with the high grade? No, I know why. I mean, that's a serious bit of engineering there. As I understand it, though, the P Bandai high grade Rebawoo does have the folding nose cone. In addition, the RE100 P Bandai Rebawoo also has the folding nose cone. Yes, Bob the Builder, there is 16 years between the two kits. They probably learned one or two things in that time. That is to say nothing of some of the posability of Zeta kits, of course. You guys all know that my favorite Zeta kit is like the 1991 wave shooter type, which has terrible posability, but man, it is the only high grade with no parts forming. Hey, what's going on, Ian? Good to see you. See, but I think that this also contributes to the other issue that I'm having, right? Is like, okay, so because of the retractable nose cone, that's one of the reasons that the cockpit doesn't open, and that's why I will not be 3D printing my seated Glemmy pilot. We are only going to have a Glemmy that is standing triumphantly, probably somewhere like on the shoulder or something like that. Like, what do you think if I put a magnet like in here, and then do I have a figure around here somewhere? I know I have a Camille, yeah. So this is my Camille figure, right? So if I 3D print a Glemmy to this scale and I put some magnets in his feet and then install a magnet inside the shoulder, oh, I can fling him halfway across the room. No. So yeah, I'm gonna be able to magnetize him here, and I think that'll look cool if you have like a tiny Glemmy standing on the shoulder. Yeah, Ian, hope you feel better, bud. I'm happy to lull you with some of my dulcet tones. But yes, exactly right, Bob the Builder. These are the not HGs. But see, that's why I think that we should have more of them, right? Like, I wouldn't mind if there was for every master grade. I wouldn't mind an RE100 version of it. Just for us guys that like to cut up the insides. Because, yeah, something about it, like, I don't feel right cutting up a master grade and, like, defiling its insides. I mean, I say, ¿por qué no los dos? Like, because, like, don't get me wrong, I love my master grade Zeta 2.0. The Verka's okay. Um, but, like, if I'm gonna put LEDs or like an Arduino or something like that in it, I need like some open space. I need some chest cavities and things. This is totally not the right part. All right, if you're playing the drinking game, then take a shot. No, that is right. It just looks funnier in the pack, like in the instructions. One of the qualifying gimmicks for an MS to be an MG is piston gimmicks, which is why the aerial is a full mechanic. Ah, interesting. I did not know that pistons were the like. It's funny to think about like what the qualifiers are for some of these things, right? Like, remember when real grade used to mean like, oh well, it has the inner frame, like the frame that's like pre built or pre assembled or whatever, right? It's like, yeah, we don't do that anymore because like there are too many mobile suits that cannot use the same frame. It's kind of a redundancy. Ah, Rogue, I hope you love the Totus Ritter. I love the Totus Ritter. Oh, jeez. So this is something I'm going to want to glue in because like that just, come on, comes out for no reason. But yeah, so there's our nose cone and then just folds up right there. Clip it on right here. And there we go. This is starting to look like a Bawoo. Real grade qualifier is okay. So hold on. So Tony says, how much do you care about articulations in your model kits? I just need a model kit that looks cool and can do basic movements. Yeah, I mean, it's frustrating when you can't achieve certain poses, like especially if it's an iconic pose to the mobile suit. But the real grade qualifier is an MD that is designed as if it were made 1-to-1 today. Has the real in real grade. Yeah, I mean, I guess so. I always thought of real grades as 1 to 1/44th scale perfect grades. Is like that's the. But that was the gimmick that set them apart, right? It was like, um, top posing kit is the RG God. Yes, I've heard that. I don't have one, but I believe it. And the HG-G40. Hey, the G40 and the Beyond Global. Don't sleep on the Beyond Global. That one has some really great posing on it. Or the high grade Jim if you're into the Build Fighters line. You can do some really cool poses with that. Back in the day, I did that bar scene where I have it smoking a cigarette and sitting on the side of the street. Yeah. Yeah, this thing's definitely gonna need some maybe some glue in some parts, definitely some like I don't know. We'll see. A lot of these parts seem a little too easy to jostle out of place, you know? Yes, the Jim is amazing. Also great for customization of other UC GMs. Yeah, the only thing that I don't like is that it's like not quite to scale with other UC suits. Like it's bigger than the Granddaddy Gundam. Post 2019, real grade, have no advance MS joint, main body, and just hands and accessories. Yeah, exactly. So like they kind of abandoned a lot of the things that made the real grade line um not unique but cohesive, I would say. Um but it's not a bad thing. I'm not saying this is a criticism. I'm saying like, you know, I think that having those frames was like they were shackling themselves. Now what we need is a real grade Zeta 2.0 that maybe has like die cast parts on the inside. Bandai will never do two things. I can't wait to hear because chances are I agree. One, do a decent gold injection, and two, make a good Zeta kit. I know. It's a shame. Oh, thinking about a Gundam Bawoo. Oh, I made that, sir. My Gundam Zawoo, if you will. It's like basically a Bawoo with a Zeta Gundam head. No, that's not true. It has like a custom backpack and stuff too. But yeah, I never actually finished the video on that. I did have to repair the backpack because, again, I typically, because I don't know what I'm doing, I will mess around with different combinations of paints and thinners and panel line fluids and all these different things. And sometimes they do not play nicely with one another, and it makes it so that I ruin kits. And so, what happened with the Gundam Zawoo is I forgot what it was that was like something to do with the top coat that I was doing. But suffice to say, it the backpack melted, and I still needed to repair that. So yeah, I can see that this is where these tabs are supposed to hold the body together using this little piece of color separation, but the body is not connected the way it should be, so something's wrong here. Let's get in here and separate these and see what I screwed up. I like putting SD heads on HG bodies. Yeah, I do that as well. And there's actually some fun stuff you can do mixing SD HG builds. Like, for instance, I like the scale of the cross silhouette Zeta shoulders. So if you put those on like the HG Zeta, but just the shoulders, it like bulks them up a little bit, which is kind of cool. Okay. We're going to have to take this stuff apart too in order to see what went wrong here. But this is good to know because I am concerned that when I have to take all this stuff apart later to run all the LEDs through it. Sammy? Sorry, my cat is decided he needs to help. All right, so got this in here, got this. All right. But yeah, maybe the Gundam Bezetas Camille custom. Yeah, that's exactly what it was. Is I was designing it around that little Camille fan fiction that I wrote that I still get hate for to this day. People, you know, they do not like their version of the Camille fan fiction from Super Robot Wars being tampered with. I do need to find, so, you know, I've kind of taken a hiatus from doing the whole like dissecting Gundam series, right? But I do need to find the episode where I forget what mission it is after, but Camille is standing on the bridge and Bright and Char are talking to him, and he says something like super out of pocket. He's like, you know, I used to think that, you know, killing people was like, I wish I could remember how the quote goes. It's something like, I used to think that we could accomplish this without hurting anybody, but like now I see that, you know, some people just need killing or something like that. And Char and Bright are both like, what did he just say? And then it's like, you know, he goes on to say, like, I just want you guys to know that I'm committed, like, I'm fully committed to the AUG now. And it's like, did anyone else think that that kind of sounded psychopathic? So it's funny to me when people are like, no, Camille would never drop a colony. Camille would never hurt anybody. And it's like, well, did you watch Camille in Zeta? He hurts a lot of people. And he does it for like not great reasons all the time. Now, I'm not saying that my way is the truth, but to say that it's completely impossible, I think is being a little naive. Man. So, like, the back has no problem connecting. Like, that is a normal seam line. I dig that. But the front is really does not want to connect here. And I keep pressing on this and it's like hurting my fingers. So I'm going to take these off for a second. Maybe that's the problem. It's just these stupid orange tabs. There we go. Just get this loosened up a little bit. Red flag confirmed, yeah. Unless it really is supposed to be that, like, tight, but I feel like this should slide on a lot easier than this. And I know I'm not missing any parts. Zeta starts with Camille skipping school, picking a fight with the military and police, stealing a Gundam, and stomping on a military cop. Yeah, lest we forget that, like, he was, like, laughing pretty maniacally as he was about to crush this poor guy. I mean, that is the part that goes on there, right? Let me just double check. E17. E17. Yeah, that's it. Yeah, especially when they choose especially when they choose Shar Aznable as their surrogate father figure. That's man, this thing is really frustrating. But this is going to be good to know when I go in and do like the top coating because man, this is going to be a super tight joint. Like I may have to sand it down pretty significantly in order to make this stuff fit. I mean, is it supposed to go in this way with the notches up? Maybe that is it. Is it supposed to go in at the angle like that so that. Okay, yeah, let's try that. So I've never worked with these poly caps before, and it looks like they can go in one of two ways. They can either go in like this, which, let's see if we can see that. So they can go in like this, where the flat end is on top, or they can go in like this, where there's a notch in the top. I'm thinking that the notch in the top is required in order for the top half to fit correctly because it's got these little bars here. Yep, that was definitely it. I mean, that just, I'm like not having to fight with it at all. Boom. There you go. See, now this is the stuff that I can't afford to waste time on with the build competition just around the corner. No, I'm kidding. This is par for the course when it comes to me building. You guys know this. Although I forgot to clip the backpack back in, so so we have to take it apart again. It is good to know. I'm gonna have so much experience taking this thing apart and putting it back together that we're gonna be Gucci, you guys. Yeah, I just said Gucci. That's how confident I am that this is going to go well. There we go. I'm not going to take it completely apart. I just need to get it up enough that I can tuck this guy over the top and snap him in. There we go. And we are back in business. Clip this guy on there. Clip this guy back in here. Yeah, this I'm gluing this like 1,000% because I'm not gonna have to take this back out every time I transform this kit. Go. There we go. Bandai model kits. If it doesn't fit, you did it wrong. This is true for Bandai, not true for Kotobukiya. I learned that when I built the Geno Breaker Zoid model kit. There are so many parts of that that are just. I describe that kit as being a first draft. Is the best way I can. Is the best way I can explain it. It is. It's gorgeous. The color separation on it is fantastic. It's a fun build. Like, it goes pretty quick. But there are so many things that make that kit a hand grenade that it is incredibly frustrating. The entire backpack, and we're talking about like probably the backpack is like a pound. The entire kit is like 3 pounds. The backpack is a third of that. And it's held by one little 3mm peg that likes to fall off for no reason. But yes, I am entering a local hobby shop scale model competition here. It's interesting to me that there are like no rules around it. Like, it's not like a, you know, I would have thought that you have to like enter and prove that you've done your build within a certain time limit or something like that. But like, it's really open to whatever you want to do. So, you know, technically I could have just taken an existing build of mine and done something like that and just, dolled it up a little bit. But I think in the interest of challenging myself and doing something special, I'm starting mostly from scratch. This is obviously a kit I haven't finished building. I'm going to be using a lot of different techniques as far as LED lighting, magnets. I'm 3D printing parts of it. We are going to try and employ as many little tricks as I possibly can. There we go. So this, again, is this is going to be another problem. So even if I put the inverter in the backpack somehow, this little joint is how the wires have to go and run throughout the entire body. The entire thing hinges on this little joint. So I guess what I would do is I would like put a hole there and just run it between, so that we don't interfere with the joint at all. We're just going to run it in between the center column there, and then have the wires run throughout here. Whew, this is going to be a fun one. Yeah, 3D printed parts. There really are no rules. No, there aren't. Like, I tried as best as I could to like look for the competition, rules and whatnot, and there really wasn't any limitation on what you could do. probably just 3D print the entire kit and then call it good. That's one. See, now this is an interesting feat of engineering, but is also kind of a strange design choice, right? So here we've got those little tubes that hang out, the propeller tank, propellant, propeller tank, propellant tanks that sit on the backpack of the Bawoo, right? Well, uh, in the high grade version of this, which, as we mentioned earlier, is a, you know, 16-year difference, these are two pieces. It gets sandwiched together. However, here we are with the more advanced model, and they are printed. They are molded as one piece, but it's like, is that necessarily a good thing? Should they be a two-piece? I don't know. You could go full money and drop a dendrobium. I do have the high grade dendrobium in my garage. I have not built it yet, but if I were gonna do that, then like I would never be able to customize any part of it. It would just be, here's the kit. Maybe I top coated it. Wow, that really is it. So here we go. This is the upper torso unit. Man, this thing looks so badass. Like, I love how big the arms are. Yeah, this is sweet. Um, yes, I do have I do. Oh wait, yeah, the 144, the 1 to 144th dendrobium. I have that. That's not built, and then I have the 1/1700 scale dendrobium that I have built. But I'm doing something with that as well. I'm turning it into like a, almost like a build fighters type deal. So we need G5 and G6. Yeah, that build fighters type deal is, I have the high grade 1/144th scale GP03, just the stamen, and I'm building like a backpack that holds the 1/1700 scale dendrobium parts. B20 and 21. But yeah, I feel like I should keep the transformation, right? Like there's no reason to take it out. Okay. So this is an interesting way to do a mono eye. I cannot say I've ever seen one quite like this. Um all right, maybe I should who does the 1/1700 scale? Never heard of it. Yeah, well, what's funny is you'll see people on Amazon that are trying to sell that 1/1700 scale one for like, $400 because they think it's the high grade. And like I feel bad for the poor grandmas that are trying to buy a kit for their grandkids, and it's like, but he said it was this one. Sammy, get out. Okay, so yeah, tell me if you guys have ever seen anything like this. So this is obviously the interior of the head. The mono eye is this little part here, and rather than going in on top of a peg so that it can rotate, it clips onto the front, which still allows it to rotate, but it's in the weirdest way possible. Oh, I mean, it's not that small. It's large enough that the cannon, um, oh no, it's like I'll have to get it out for you sometime. Show you. It's the cannon alone is like taller than a high grade. Okay. Sammy. All right, here's Sammy, everybody. He's my foreman. I hope the judges aren't allergic to cats. Um, let's see. Yeah, G9. Or maybe it's 1/400 scale. Maybe I'm confusing it with the ship scales. It is frustrating, like the different scale Gundam products there are, because, like, you know, I have the 1/400 scale Queen Mansa, which is sweet looking, but it's tiny. Can we talk about this big, beautiful command horn that the Bawoo has? You know, sizes and everything, but yeah, it's like that Nike commercial. Remember that Nike commercial that was like, winning isn't everything, it's the only thing? Like, what? Just like a language trick that you just played on us? Yeah, boy. Oh, come on now. Clip on there. Well, now it doesn't want to. It doesn't want to clip on. Let's see here. Oh, give me just a second. Good deal. So yeah, why is it not? Does this need to come up higher? Like it's so the Bawoo spike is so majestic that it's actually preventing me from connecting the head to to the torso. Maybe there's a part that's supposed to go in here and extend the neck somehow. I don't know. Yeah, Dan, I think you're right. That does sound like a Lombardi quote, if ever I heard one. So I think this might be a classic case of Hatter forgot a part, because it looks like that is almost like the right shape for a polycap. Sure is. And not just any polycap. A polycap 2. Yeah, gotta be careful with this guy. He's pretty finicky for all of his trouble. Now the question is, does this go in? I put it in this way, but that might be incorrect. So, let's double check. Yeah, I had it right. There we go. And now we've got our... Man, this guy's looking sexy already, I gotta tell you. Man, screw the LEDs. I'm just gonna submit it like this. There you go. The 1/400th Dendrobium was made for a tabletop game. Yeah, gun call. Yeah, I mean, I have like a whole bunch of those 1/400th scale like Gashapon figures. Then they also made like a 1/200th scale tabletop game, didn't they? Um, I know that they sell a bunch of the miniatures from it on Mandarake. Now, like I said, I'm not even going to bother with the hands because, you know, I don't think that these hands are going to suffice for the needs that I have. I do have some of those builder's parts, like the master grade sized hands, that I will probably be using to wire up with my magnets and, you know, do all of the things. Do all of the typical Hatter things. I also mentioned over on Discord last night that I did do some research, and it looks like um, I wasn't able to, and Ultronus, maybe you'll be able to help me with this. Um, I wasn't able to like save my PS4 screenshot, like export it. So I'm like, I want to email it to myself or something like that, so that I have the image of the Bawoo with the beam rifle stowed. Because remember, that was a big topic of conversation. As I was like, if I'm gonna have the beam saber, I have to have the beam rifle stowed on the Bawoo somehow, right? Well, I did determine by playing some GBO2 last night that on the back skirt right here, the beam rifle. So like, let's imagine here's our Bawoo. Because he uses the beam rifle in his right hand, he stows it with the barrel facing this way and the handle facing down. So that is where I'm going to have to attach the hard point to the magnets so that when the beam rifle's not being equipped, it can snap on to the back skirt. These are very particular details to me. I do not like to get them wrong. Um, can't you just use a USB stick? Okay. So USB stick is the way to go, huh? I didn't know if there was one of those secret ways that you could like upload it to your PSN account or something. It's like the only option was to tweet it, and I was like, well, I don't know if I just want to randomly tweet out a screenshot of the Bawoo's butt cheeks. Just no context. No context Bawoo cheeks. See, okay, so this is going to give me a perfect example to talk about what I don't like about Kotobukiya kits. Um, do you have the PlayStation app? No, I don't. Maybe that's let your freak flag fly. um, so here's a perfect example of what Bandai does that Kotobukiya does wrong. So here we have, obviously the finished piece is this color separation here. What Bandai does is they're like, okay, well, you're never going to take these out. Like, it's just a color separated piece. They're not like actual missiles that you're going to have to take out of the thing. So what we're going to do is we're going to mold them as one piece on the back, and then you can hide it away and tuck it in perfectly nice. Just like that. Okay, very good. Oh, look at that. Looks fantastic. What Kotobukiya would do is each one of these would be an individual piece, and they wouldn't have anything on the back to stop them from just sliding right through and falling out. That is the type of engineering that Kotobukiya does. And I can tell you this with certainty because there's like there's a section of like vent grates, you know, similar to like what you'd expect. I don't know I don't think I've got a good example on the Bawoo, but like let's say here. Yikes, there goes my airbrush. So let's see. You know, you've got your grates here, the vents on the Gundam Mark II, right? There's entire sections on the leg of the Kotobukiya Geno Breaker that each individual shingle of the vent is a single part. Instead of having like one part that's all of the vents, they have each individual shingle is a part. And they are held on by a single peg joint with a diameter of this. For scale, my fingernail, this. This is the peg joint that they're held on by, something like this big. So those shingles fall off all the time. So yes, Bandai knows when to go all out with the detail and when to restrain. Let's see. Man, imagine if Kotobukiya did that with the Heavy Arms custom or the Wing Zero custom, having to do each individual feather. Yeah, basically. It's a double-edged sword in my opinion. Snap fit model kits have made the hobby soft. Soft. Cotton soft, in fact. It's true, but you know, I think that's the benefit of having like all the different grades and stuff, you know. It's like you have entry grades for the little ones. Oh, no, it does say that this is supposed to go to the front. That is a tight fit. Are you sure about this, Bawoo? Ooh, ooh, Bawoo. Yeah, you guys can go ahead and unsub to me for saying that. But yeah, I see what you're saying though. Like I think that there's snap fit modelers have gotten a little complacent, right? There's too many tools, too many shortcuts. Here I am 3D printing wholesale stuff. Now, you guys know me. I very rarely will 3D print myself out of a bind. I just don't have confidence in my ability to Sculpt Glemmy's little chest parts. Yep, you caught it. You caught me. No PC parts. And technically they're not even PCs. They're just the regular Cs. This is what happens when I get off on a tangent talking about Kotobukiya. I'm like I'm like Syndrome. You got me monologuing, you dog. So I don't know how long we're going to go on stream today. Obviously this has already been a slightly longer than my normal, just live show, but this is clearly something different, right? We're not just chatting with Adam about the beast of possibility building a kit. We're doing the dang thing here. And yeah, this thing's going to happen. Kotobukiya Master Race. In my opinion, Bandai and Koto are falling off the game. Third party and new studio IP is killing it the past year. Yeah, actually, I think that you're onto something there. I think Bandai has gotten complacent. They know that people are going to buy whatever they put out, and so there's no real motivation to kind of like drive innovation when it comes to what they're doing, right? Sometimes they do. Sometimes they will do something unique just for the heck of it. But like, there's nobody that's barking, nipping at their heels that's going to put them out of business. Kotobukiya, I feel like, just doesn't have they just don't have the engineers. Ah, get back to work, Dan. I appreciate you popping in, brother. And happy belated Father's Day to you. Bob the Builder says, I'm doing a third party Hainu clone that makes Bandai look like Hasbro. Yeah, well, and Hasbro's been embarrassed by third party Transformers for long enough that they're like, okay, you know what? We're going to stop coming after you guys. As long as you don't use the names and you don't have the Autobots or Decepticon logos, you can make as many Master Trucks and Turbotrons as you want, as long as you don't violate the IP. They can look exactly like them. And some of those are fantastic. Some of them are kind of hand grenades. Designing things that transform is particularly difficult. So here we are with B2. Gonna put these guys towards the back. This guy clips in here. There we go. Yeah, if we can finish the attacker here, that would be awesome, right? The 172th scale Sky Defender. I need to check that out. See, and maybe that's my dream. My dream goal in all of this is to design and 3D print my master Zeta. The perfect, we'll call it Gundam Zed. Zedd, like Lord Zed. Yeah, Ian, that's exactly what we're talking about. Is like, I don't think that there is a third party Zeta that transforms. I'm pretty sure that there's a third party Zeta, and Bob, I'm sure you'll correct me. I'm sure that there is a third party 160 scale Zeta, but I don't think that they transform. I think that they're all like, just bot mode. Because, yeah, I would love to make I would love to be responsible for engineering the third-party Zeta that can transform and doesn't look like terrible. Personally, I think that it would be easy if they would just adopt that larger, um, the bulkier designed frame. Hit up a streamer called K Scale Models. He does Gunpla. Oh yeah, yeah. No, I'm familiar with K Scale. I actually, I almost bought some of that stuff off of New Type. Um, I'm trying to get my STL store off the ground. Although I don't know. I don't want to sell STLs because I already give away the STLs on my Patreon, right? And ultimately, I feel like the STLs are, how should I put this? They're super helpful. Like I've bought hundreds, if not, well, hundreds. I bought hundreds of 3D print files, but like most creators don't give you like the tools to be successful when you are printing those things, right? I don't want to do that to people. I want to be able to just ship them the resin kit. But as you know, 3D printing is a time consuming and not very efficient process. So what I've been doing is taking some of my masters and trying to source source some suppliers that could do some injection molding for me. Maybe not for the entire kit, but for at least the parts of it that um, need to be standardized. I don't know. I I like to give people as turnkey options as possible. That's why my entry grade conversion kits that I've done in the past. It's kind of funny. I wish I had my entry grade Gundam around here. I don't because he's an F2 right now. So with the entry grade frame, the back skirt has like, it's like they got the yellow parts from the back skirt that protrude out. So I've designed the conversion kits that I do basically cover those up and like they snap into place. So that way you don't have to do any customization on them. You just if you have the joints and the like pelvis and the torso of a entry grade RX-78, you can turn it into a Zaku F2 without having to do any alterations. And I feel like sometimes if you get like an STL, it's like it's only as good as how you print it and what resin you use. I learned that this past year that there are some terrible resins, terrible, terrible resins. Oh yeah, F3. Oh shoot, where is that? Oh, of course. Um, that's the concept of the 30 million. Yeah, yeah. I'm really glad that they started coming out with those parts that fill in the 30-minute missions line. Like my biggest complaint with the 30-minute missions, because the mech designs are so freaking good, and like there's so many customized parts and things like that. It's so cool. But there's always a but, right? Like I'm always going to complain about something. um I don't like how if you don't have something plugged in that they look like Swiss cheese. They've got these holes all over them. But Ultronomus just pointed out that now they have like those little filler parts that you can snap in to kind of fill those spots in. Oh, you're against the 30-minute line. I'd love to hear why. I'm interested because because like I like the idea of it. You know, the execution I thought was kind of weak until recently. Okay, well we almost have it. Just kidding. Okay, so this is interesting. We need A7 and A8. It's a great concept. I just hate the marketing. A full 30-minute while fully equipped. Okay, that's a fair criticism. I see what you're saying. See, and I think part of that, yeah, I mean, it's especially for something that has standardized parts like that. You know, you would hope that the price point would be a little bit more reflective of that. Do you think that it has something to do with the since they know that they're not going to make it up in quantity because it's not a recognized IP like Gundam? You know, they can sell an HG for 20-25 bucks because they know that it's going to sell and they know that they're going to make it up in volume. But because the 30-minute missions line are all uniquely designed and they're not part of a very popular IP, do you think that that contributes to like, ooh, we know that um we need to try and what you call it, make as much money off of each individual sale as we can. Also hits back on making the hobby soft and making. Okay, yeah, I see what you're saying there. Well, and that's kind of like what builders parts do, right? Like all of the builders parts customizations. It's like so much of that stuff could be done with kit bashing without having to. That is kind of cheating, right? I think that oh, had they been able to predict how successful Armored Core 6 was going to be, doing, 30-minute what you call it? 30-minute armored cores. Since customization is like the whole thing behind um armored cores, right? It's like I never understood why you would have like a Dark Souls or an Elden Ring action figure when it's like, well, isn't every character unique because you equip them and everything yourself? Like, just seems kind of weird. Um, the build series is a money grab. Hella smart way to reuse old molds and although I will say that some of the build kits actually are better than their originals. The build Mark II, man, that thing is so much better than any other high grade Mark II. Because I have the Titans one, I have the AU. Well, the AU one that I have is technically the Super Gundam, but the joints, like the colors, everything on the build Mark II is better than the Super Gundam. Even though, yeah, you're right, they are like almost the same mold. Okay, come on now. Come I doing this right? Is this backwards? It is backwards. A good chunk of the battle log line. Yeah, not a big fan of the battle logs. I'll be honest with you there. Those ones were kind of like, well, you know, here it's an urban colored ground type Gundam. There we go. I have to say, I love that the waist, the torso, everything snaps in the way that it does. And like I said, oh, look at this, look at this. Oh, man. It's not a lot of ab crunch, not a lot of ab twist, but it's enough for a Bawoo. Because you would not even be able to do that on the high grade. I am pretty happy with how this is looking so far, and I cannot wait to get the rest of it done. But I must, because I have to get back to work and get some stuff done before today's show with Adam. And it sounds like we're going to have a special guest on the Gundam Explained podcast today, so I hope you guys are going to check that out. I'm particularly excited about the conversation we are going to have because we're going to be talking about Star Wars versus Gundam. So that'll be fun. This thing is it's looking nice. Get a nice close up of this guy. The camera gives it a little bit more of a red hue than it actually has in person. So let's see. Looks sick. Thank you. They gave us a Force Impulse Gundam Spec 2 real grade, which is just a real color as real grade 39. So real grade 40 can be the real grade 2.0 grams. Sorry, I don't keep up with like the exact numbers of everything. Although maybe I should because obviously it gives you an idea of like where they're going with the progression of the line, right? But yeah, recolors in general, I'm not a fan of. I am a P Bandai apologist, which I'm sure you guys know, but there are certain P Bandai kits that I dump on. One of them in particular is the Zeta Plus C1, because that is not even a recolor. It is literally the exact same Zeta Plus as the Unicorn version, but they throw in one extra runner for the beam rifle. That's it. Hey Diggs, good to see you in chat. I'm excited to see how this all turns out. Me too. We'll see if I can hold it together without, breaking something. But no, thank you guys so much for hanging out with me, chatting during this first build stream. Stay tuned for more of these. I'm going to pop in like periodically. Sometimes I'll do night streams, sometimes afternoon streams. Just, depends on when I can get my daughter to bed and hop on here, make a little progress. I'm going to do some soldering next, see if we can get this thing electrified. But yeah. Thank you guys again. Be sure to tune in to the Gundam Explained show here in a couple of hours. We got a special guest joining us. We're going to be talking Star Wars. Until then, I will catch you all later. Thanks again. Peace.